Good morning, good afternoon, good evening for all of you guys around the world. This is Wake Up Hex with KNTX, your guy. I'm here today to kind of recap and go back over. I purposely didn't script anything today. I want it to be off the cuff. I want it to be raw. That's just the way I like to do things. With me again is Grant Peel here from the highest of stakes. How are you doing, buddy?
Dude, KNTX, man, I am so pumped. I'm excited to be with you today and appreciate you having me on.
Oh, you betcha. You betcha. I went ahead and invited the rest of the Motley Morning crew to come in today.
Look at this.
Hello, everybody.
Full house.
Peter gets to go there. You don't get to sit in the middle there, Peter. Sorry. Not today. Not today. You can ride shotgun tomorrow or on Thursday, okay? So I wanted to know if these guys had any questions for you, because you and I discuss a lot, and there's a lot I don't discuss with the community just because it's just not applicable to what everyone needs to know. But I know the community themselves have questions. So I thought I would give these guys an opportunity to throw some questions at you.
I love it.
Okay. What about you guys? What kind of questions you guys got? I know you have them.
Will you have better production quality than Peter's green screen?
It's messed up today. I don't know what's happening.
We love the effort from Peter and all he's doing there, and the Hex in the back looks fantastic. But we're going to be bringing all of the toys to this production. Yes, so it really does mean a lot to us that we are able to have great production value in the stories that we tell, because we feel like I had mentioned last time, it's the difference between a student film and 300, right? Mm-hmm. You really want to be leveraging all of the tools that are available to us to create an awesome story. So,
speaking of story, this is quite the teaser. It's got a lot of sizzle to it. A lot of people are asking, when is the cutoff for all the footage that you're going to be collecting to tell this story?
So we have right now, we have what we would consider a rough timeline of production in place. And the reason that I would say that it's rough is because we're telling a story that's unfolding naturally right now. And so it would be subject to change if and only if something were to happen in this world and in this story that were to flex outside of our anticipated production timeline. So right now we'd be looking at completing production in Q1, Q2 of next year, going into post-production, and be looking for distribution and release in Q3 and 4 of 2022. So
a Richard Heart 4 weeks time frame then.
Well, I guess I've heard rumor that there's that rolling 4 weeks that has happened, for months and months at a time.
Over and over again.
So the good news is that filmmaking is like water. It fills the vessel that you give it. So if you give yourself this amount of time to create a film, it will take you that amount of time. The thing that we want to do in this instance is we want to honor the story, and we don't want to put ourselves in a box that doesn't allow us to explore this thing. But I would say that we have decades of experience, and what we anticipate is a production timeline in the next 9 months, and then a release in the Q3 or 4 of next year.
Very good.
Hey, that was a good question.
Yeah.
So the question I know that the community is asking quite a bit right now is, well, Richard seemed to be kind of bearish on this whole documentary on his last live stream. That's because he hadn't checked his email inbox yet. We know that the guy has a lot of messages, so that has been worked out. Is that correct, Grant?
Yeah, and that's and he's he is deep in this work for Pulse and Pulse Chain. Like he is absolutely in it. And then the other truth of the matter is that, in sitting with him there in Estonia, he handed us his phone. He literally was like, here, look at my Telegram. Look at what this is like. And there's like 1,500 unread messages. that are a part of threads that he's in. So, not only is he busy, but also, certain messages can occasionally go unread. So we have what we understand to be the full support of his team. And right now it's like they're down to the smallest of details in the legal paperwork that'll establish this relationship and allow us to move forward with that full confidence. As you can imagine, he's wanting to be very protective in making sure that he's good here, right? And so we're making every accommodation as we can in assuring him that that he is protected and that we have the ability then to share his story, create it, and get it distributed because we have the right vehicles in place in partnership with one of these large OTTs.
Yep. Okay. I know you guys have some more questions. Oh yeah, the biggest one. Where do I go to donate? Let's go to thehighestofstakes.com. Got it down here in the banner scrolling at the bottom. Thehighestofstakes.com, ETH, USD, or Hex, and you will find the address in there. Looks like to date, you guys, I'm pretty proud of you Hexicans. We're just shy of $400,000 that has been raised. So not doing too shabby, guys. Our minimum goal. And Peter's gone.
Peter was scratching himself. Sometimes that happens. We have to give him a flea dip.
Fleas are a problem over in Slovakian countries, so they are a problem. So, and maybe Peter, I'll let you back in here in just a minute, unless you want to help yourself. You need to mess with your chroma key, Peter. Go mess with your settings down at the bottom. Your chroma key is too strong. That's the problem. But I am proud of you Hexicans. We've got about $400,000 raised. The minimum is going to be about $480 to make this a reality. Anything past that, we get better narrators, bigger stars, better distribution, rights with big production houses. So you guys, this is really important that we go full staff here. I want to show right now, I want to bring it up on stream because I want to give credit to the generous Hexicans that we do have in this community. I have been nothing but impressed. I had Taylor Kennedy and Scotty Desno reach out to me personally, and they happen to be number 2 and number 3 right now for the leaderboard. So we've got some great things going on here, guys. So thank you guys so much for your contributions. If you guys want to see your name on there and the opportunity to see the premiere with Richard Heart being there, this is your opportunity, guys. This is your opportunity. So don't forget to go there. It's thehighestofstakes.com, and you will see when you register for film credits here. Make sure you guys put your names, your avatars, whatever it is that you want there, and a way for them to contact you. And the wallet address is right here. So here is the wallet address, guys. So make sure you guys are on that leaderboard. And make sure you're not the last person. There's a lot of discussion about trying to be in last place on the film.
Purposefully?
Purposefully, yes.
Right, yeah. They're like, how fractionally small of a donation can I make and take that spot? Yeah,
I was trying to tell people last Tuesday, I said, that Ethereum can, or maybe it was Thursday, but Ethereum can be divided into 18 decimal points. And so if you're sending Ethereum at 18 decimal points, you might just be the smallest, but you're going to pay a $20 gas fee just to send a fraction of a penny to these guys.
Don't give away my methods.
Yeah, well, I want someone else to compete with you on that because those add up too. Give enough of those away, and maybe they'll be worth something. So,
Why, KNTX, I do love your shirt and matching hat. What accoutrements!
All right, I'll bring that up for just a second. I didn't want to steal the thunder, but hey, look at that. We got t-shirts, man. We got t-shirts. We got hats. We got white ones. We got white logos. We got white logos on the shirt. We've got the one with the skulls on the back, the pirate ones that the captain wants. So we have all kinds of stuff at hexicans.net. It's in the description below on the video, hexicans.net. That is, while that stuff is fun and we love that you guys want to support us, the important part is the documentary. So I didn't want to steal thunder from the documentary today, but I did want to show everybody that the promised shirts after 4 weeks are finally being delivered. So
more like 6 months.
Shh.
From
About 4 weeks ago.
promise coins and promise shirts.
Yes, the promise shirts. So I am guilty of the promise shirts. And these aren't even the quality ones coming from Bali. Those are still literally on the ship. We can't get them into the port yet. They're like parked outside the port of Los Angeles right now, waiting
It's
to
like
get
the story of my
unloaded.
first marriage. Always parked outside the port.
Yeah, and so this we just made this stream better by getting rid of Papa B. So Grant, so you guys have you guys are filming, to give some credence to your guys' background. You guys are actually filming a spot for 4 seasons. Is that correct, in Hawaii?
Yeah, so it's just 4 a.m. where I am at the moment. So we're on set here in the throes of production, and it's true that we are honored to be able to be invited into stories of all perspectives and all scale. And we've had a lengthy partnership with some heavy hitting brands in the past and currently as well. And so it's very exciting to be here and to be creating the stories that we are on their behalf. As we are in pre-production for the highest of stakes, and then the moment that we are able to secure the funding, and then we can dive into pre-production, which is all the story finding. And so we're going to need from the community suggestions on different people and stories and angles that we should consider, and then we'll sift.
Nope.
And connection issues.
And you must be in Hawaii.
Dive into production. So, it's looking as though we're probably, going to really be in the throes of it beginning in November, which is just a tremendously exciting idea to have, months and months and months of focus around this story in particular. All the while occasionally peppering in something else in order to support the team.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, I like that. I just put up there on the screen temporarily here. I'll have to go back in a second. I'm literally getting brought down here by my Telegram. But I just wanted to show some of the brands that you guys had worked with in the past.
Yeah.
And I don't know why this is not going. Of course, everything decided just to lock up on me here. Let me put that back up again. So you've traveled over 60 countries making commercial films for brands like Apple, Fujifilm, 4 Seasons, and the NFL. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it really is pretty cool. In fact, we've even had great partnerships with camera manufacturers and have been a part of large camera launch initiations on their behalf. We've also been invited to teach other filmmakers how to create more compelling stories. And when we've taught those, techniques all over the world as well on behalf of ourselves, and then also large camera brands as well. So yeah, we're as much about lifting up and reaching back into the community of filmmakers, inspiring and assisting other filmmakers to make and create more compelling stories as we are in creating our own work as well. So we're very excited to be able to share kind of that experience that we have. We've taught the United Nations how to create more compelling story because their work would be more effective the more that they're able to leverage the tools of story as well. So it's a very exciting history to kind of point to when we think about all of the change that we've been able to create and affect, rather than it being this kind of a moment and beating our chest with regard to who those brands are. It's more a reflection of looking back on that work and being proud of the work itself, and the difference that it makes, and our kind of the ethos and the approach that we have to storytelling. That's why it's exciting to share those partners.
Hey, I love it. I think that is so cool. And so I started to watch the Tedx Talk, but I got sidetracked. I'm a very busy man these days.
Yeah,
and
I'm with you.
And Patrick keeps trying to convince me to hire an executive assistant, which maybe that will become a reality in the next couple of weeks or so. But yeah, I got a lot going on here, and I'm having a hard time fitting it all into one day's work. But so I didn't get to finish watching it, but I was hoping you could give us kind of a rundown on, is it just the science of storytelling that is discussed on the Tedx Talk?
Yeah, and it's what's interesting is that that we've discovered that intersection of science and art. The idea that we know that facts and figures alone don't move and shape the way that we see the world and the choices that we make. But if we can pair those facts and figures with story, then we can move people. And that's what that it's that intersection that Patrick explores and discusses inside of that TEDx talk specifically. Is the idea that we've got to approach the heart before we can move the mind, and story
Agreed.
is that invitation into being able to reach in and affect people's hearts.
I agree with that. So I've tried making the point of the Trident here on our stream recently, and it's something we've been working on for a long time on the back end. But I think the gatekeeping of Hex and this financial product, and even Richard Heart himself, ends when you've got the hearts and minds of people, the entertainment and the culture. And I think this documentary fills that portion of the Trident. When you've got a legacy financial product, which is, I happen to know someone who might be working on something along those lines. But when you've got something that is in the eyes of people outside of crypto as well as crypto, and then the political side, I think there has to be a political element, and there's some grumblings and some movings and some shaking going on by Hexicans in the background, trying to get all of crypto to see that there's a like interest here for us to be participating on that stage, because regulators are gonna create regulation on our industry. We want a seat at the table. If you don't have a seat at the table, then you are literally you are the sheep that is at the table with the two wolves deciding what to eat for dinner. So, and I think this fulfills the hearts and minds of culture, or at least is a good start, a good launch base for us to go forward. So I appreciate you guys even being interested in the story. I love that the story sold you guys itself. So
the number of stories that we have that people share with us and invite us to consider creating, especially this kind of a project that is an all-consuming passion project that is completely original to us and is one that we are choosing rather than one that we're inheriting on behalf of a brand or an organization that's invited us to help them tell their story. It's not easy for something to transcend and to kind of enthrall us and to capture us in that regard. And this one has done it in spades. So, we're as equally excited that, that story discovered us as it is that we've discovered that story, and that we get to be a part of that. Because, we're always looking for something that is this compelling, so that we can dive into it and do something that's, work that feels really good, to invest this amount of time, energy, and effort in, because it will be all consuming for our team. To be with us is to know that, we work 16, 18-hour days. I mean, that's just the way that we approach our storytelling. We do it consistently, constantly, for weeks on end, months on end. And so it's not taken lightly when we make the kind of choice to invest this amount of energy and effort of our lives into a story like this, because as you guys recognize and understand the value of time and, what we should be doing with that time, we do the same thing. And so, we're excited to know that we have committed this kind of time and energy into this story in particular, because our time is so precious and so valuable that we don't want to be investing that amount of time and energy into stuff that isn't of this, of the highest of stakes, as the, to put it on the nose, exactly as the title suggests. So
I love that. I think the title itself is just powerful, and I loved it from the moment I saw it. So you had me sold. So I want to pull this up here. How does it feel to document a financial black hole that will affect all our other brands on Earth?
Wow, it's quite the question, huh? I mean,
that's not loaded at all, by the way.
No, not at all. Yeah. Let me not tread lightly into that trap. But I guess that what's interesting about this is that there is a truth on the backside of how affected we are all going to be by the crypto space in general, this inevitability, and how what a small percentage of us are even aware that that inevitability is coming, yet alone understanding the complexities of the current environment and being able to leverage that to advantage so that you can affect the lives of your friends, family, and loved ones in that way, right? And so that's the power of what we have here, and that's what's really exciting, is to know that like we can help accelerate that level of awareness, interest, and then hopefully motivate people to become completely educated and then aware of and interested in the space, making choices for themselves in that place. So yeah,
I love it. So Hex Bull Run, about the donations. Oh, come on, guys, don't be doing that yet. About the donations, they might wait selling Hex until the fork happens. We've already discussed this. The Hex will be the last thing to be sold, guys. It's going to be sold responsibly with limit orders. There's been some testing as to what systems to use. We've given them some guidance in the way of, which swapping systems, mechanisms to use, which not to, setting up limit orders and things of that nature. So they will be done responsibly, and it will be the last thing to be sold as the Hex itself. So they are going to try to utilize that Hex to give it some further purchasing power going forward. So
the other thing that I would say that we're trying to utilize the expertise of the community, right? Like we're definitely leveraging the advice and counsel of others in this space. This isn't the last thing we're wanting to do is to make mistakes or to be irresponsible with it in any way.
Absolutely. So thanks, Alan. Neil Tyson is narrator. I love the trailer. So
thanks. And the other thing that's interesting is that I know that, we keep calling it a trailer.
It's not.
One thing that we have to recognize is that it's not a trailer, right? Like I think that the challenge is that we've certainly created a story within this, within the piece that's meant to elicit a passion and an understanding of what this story can be, but it's not representative of the documentary because the documentary doesn't exist, right? It's truly a sizzle reel. It's truly, right, an investigation into this space and exploring what is possible and what story is yet to unfold that we can be a part of creating. But it's just a sizzle reel. That's, to me, I think the thing that's most exciting is that we look at it and you go, man, it looks like it could very nearly be representative of a full-fledged, already created story and piece, right? And it's not. This is just a proof of work, right? To saying like, hey, this is the story. This is the potential of it. We've gone and invested the time, energy, and effort to create something to share with you what we can do. And then now we need to go do the thing. So that'd be the one thing that I would remind us all is that when we look at this, like as much as we want to think of it as a trailer, it's not. It's just a sizzle. You know what I mean? Like in the purest sense of the word. So
literally in the purest sense of the word, because it's just enough to garner some interest,
just enough,
but not enough to actually tell any story yet. So, but to engage you in that story, and I love that. So. Says, too bad the documentary could not be released before Pulse. Actually, it's ideal that it hasn't been released before Pulse because there's plans, if I understand correctly, for a certain team to be near a certain person at the time of the launch. Can you expound on that for me?
Well, if someone were telling the story of Hex and Richard Heart, how important do you think the launch of Pulse might be to that story? If we're to make that, if we're to consider that, so there's already the need has been addressed. We've developed the conversation around wanting to be there at the time of that launch, how magical of a moment will that be? And we're very honored to be a part of the inside circle of the days leading up to that, the sleepless nights, the consistent coffee or constant caffeine consumption that's going to lead to that moment of launch, and be a part of that. So I mean, I agree. I think
that to set up to film the exact moment that this happens and then it not happen for 2 days. So you guys are going to be up for 48 hours before
fair
he
enough,
hits
right?
the go live button.
Hurry to wait, right? Like
Yes.
that idea or whatever. But hey, you know, we
Absolutely.
understand that there's a lot of complexity in these environments, right? Like I mean, I can't imagine being responsible to all of the detail that's necessary to execute on something that's this important and this large.
Literally, yep.
Yeah.
I have a quick question. I'm always interested in, my background is creative writing, and I had some TCF times and I went to San Diego for that type of thing.
Yeah.
And anyway, I'm just wondering, you've just now opened the book, right? You've dipped your quill in the ink pot and you're about to start writing things down. You have exposure to Richard Heart. I wonder what kind of bias or preconceived notions did you bring to this story? And also, what surprises have you already been met with in the short time that you've been, interacting with our fearless leader?
Yeah. So I think that it's fair to say that our bias is still in play, meaning we're still in discovery around this environment and everything that's involved in it. The curiosity of who Richard is was real from the word go. So, when we were introduced to this idea, like, hey, you really need to think about this story, and here's why. We were sent links to live streams from Richard, and there he is in his throne in a top hat, and unapologetically sharing, his position on how he's right, how intelligent he is, what he's created, and all of those things. And so, it definitely was one of those, hold up, is this dude for real? Hold up, how do we feel personally and individually about someone who carries themselves and presents themselves to the world that way, right? Like, so, but your storyteller spidey senses are also going, whoa, wait a minute, like, this is just incredible. What a captivating character, and what is the truth behind what's on the backside of that throne. And so, as well as the links that exist and live with all of the people that were throwing shade and throwing hate, directly at him, not to mention the streams where he was so willingly engaging and wanted to have debate and conversation with those who were in opposition with him. Like, it's just like all of those things invite us into explore the reality of this entire environment, right? And that to me is tremendously captivating, tremendously interesting. And to know that the landscape of the crypto space includes so many, the wake of so many people that have been hurt by other coin makers and other scams. And so, the question that surfaced for us was like, is this for real? And that is a tremendously interesting question to be a part of discovering, right? And doing our story finding. The thing that has also rung true is that this community is full of, earnest, genuine, supportive people whose lives have all been affected in such a tremendously wonderful way as a result of this project and token. And they've invited us in with, complete transparency. Come be a part of my story. Let me share with you, what has been my truth as it relates to Hex and crypto in this space. And it's very easy to see why people so quickly want to invite others to be a part of this or to share an understanding the experience that they have, right? I think that we all have probably experienced that knock on the door, that some of us would be excited to open the door to those who are evangelizing at our doorstep, and others who are not, right? And so that environment is equally compelling in this. So there have just been a whole host of discoveries that we've made that I think upon first blush are revealed to be so much more deep than maybe that others would have considered them if they hadn't been taking the time to be invited and to be invested in this and to see it in that deep and rich way. So that's what's exciting for us, is to know that that's what's also ahead, are all of these additional discoveries over the next 9 months as we go into this world, is that there are all of these other additional discoveries yet to be made, and lives that will be tremendously affected by the cycle. Like, this thing goes to the moon, and there's going to be an additional consideration of change and effectiveness, not only for those who are already members of the community, but those who also have just made a recent investment, and then also the cycles, right, that exist within that as well, because there is some of the mo money, mo problems reality to this community as well, right? There's a whole host of a need to navigate that yet in a significant way. And it'll be interesting to be able to explore that as well, because it's not all puppy dogs, rainbows, and Skittles, right?
Well, so along those lines, I don't want to like be a commercial for ourselves or anything, but we have partnered up with the firm that creates these legal trusts and this legal framework to protect Hexicans' wealth going forward, because a lot of people are going to get with some pretty crappy estate attorneys, and they're going to put together some pretty crappy products. And trust me, I've seen them out there. And so we've done a lot of research. We found a company that can do a holistic approach that can take care of every aspect of this newfound wealth, because there are a lot of problems with having newfound wealth and not knowing how to manage that money. There's a reason why so many people that win the lottery turn around and are bankrupt within 2 to 3 years. So we're trying to create a system to help protect Hexicans from that. And that's another thing about our community that I think our community knows. Our community is just the best, man. We look out for other Hexicans. So we're putting together things to make this happen. So I guess that really answers your answer right there. Really answers, out of all crypto, why Hex? That answered that very well.
Yeah.
But this is a really important question too, Grant. How much does a helicopter cost?
Oh, man. Well,
really important. Really important question.
So
Depends on the helicopter.
There's the use of a helicopter that thankfully is a lot less expensive than the purchase of a helicopter, though. Wouldn't it be awesome to, I don't know. The ownership of a helicopter is beyond me, I think, not responsibility, but the use of it would be fantastic, right? And then there are helicopters that are specifically rigged for awesome aerial, footage with these. They have these front loaded they're called an overshot that, you can put in really sophisticated cinema cameras in these rigs that are able to do the work or whatever. And that's what, I'm sure that's what we're wanting to explore, right? Not just simply a helicopter. And then within the world of aviation, we all know there's like the entry level, and then there's the crazy over the top baller, right?
Yes.
G6 stuff. So
yes.
And
So by the way, Hexicans, we need a helicopter. Just saying, we need to be able to fly Hexicans around the world and get some filming done at the same time. So let's get a helicopter, guys. Go ahead, Timmy.
I think Peter had a question first.
Yeah, me too. But go ahead. Tim.
Well,
all right. So I go.
Go ahead.
Yes.
So
and Hexicans are polite too. No, you go. No, you go.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
So was this the first encounter for you and your team with the crypto space, or did you consider any story about any other crypto?
Yeah. So
I'm curious.
No.
And why not?
We hadn't. Well, I mean, I guess I would say that it's not a space that we had naturally been led into. And on the surface, financial stories aren't the kind of thing that we generally do in terms of, we don't take that journalistic kind of invitation into, well, here's an emerging technology and let's go do a thing on that, right? Though we've shared stories around technological developments, right? Like, and those kinds of new the new changes in the world,
Mm-hmm.
the introduction of something that's going to have an effect on the future. But it's not something, you know, we're students. I shouldn't say students. We are fervent storytelling advocates, right? And so we're really compelled to awesome story. Where that story lives or in what bucket, community, or opportunity, we're pretty agnostic, right? Like, meaning we aren't specifically drawn to one area of story. But when we find a story that transcends, that's when we immediately become, you know, interested and start to really dive in and go all in and around that story. And so, you know, I think that what Hex has in its storytelling is so much more compelling even than, say, the origination of Bitcoin or the origin story of Ethereum is not nearly as interesting as the origin story of Hex, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Bitcoin is kind of boring. There's this someone who created it and then disappeared.
Yeah.
And
Well,
Vitalik
that's exactly
Buterin
it.
is a ghost.
Yeah. Go ahead. Well, he's never mind.
Well-
I won't say it. Tim, go ahead, buddy.
Yeah. As far as the premiere of the movie and the ability to meet Richard, I know it says on the site that the location is to be disclosed, but do you know if that would be in the United States or in Europe or another continent?
I
Or
would
is that
say
still
I would say
undecided?
it's highly likely that it would be in Europe.
Okay.
But beyond that, I wouldn't be able to know, you know, ultimately where we land in terms of specifics. But I would say if you're anticipating that contributing and then by, you know, making it in the top 3 of the leaderboard, receiving that invitation to be a part of the premiere, plan on that being a trip to Europe somewhere in Q3, Q4 of 2022 when we launch this thing in an over the top way. You know, I mean, I think that we all would say that the premiere of a movie that shares this story would need to be matched with a level of pageantry and
Yes.
you know what I mean, right? That would warrant this, you know, this community and this story, which means that this premiere is not going to be subtle.
I thought you were
Yes.
I thought you were going to say that this premiere is not going to be in Slovakia. I'm sorry, Peter.
Yeah. Sorry, you know.
Yeah.
Czech Republic, it's also fine.
Yeah, next door.
Czech Republic is also fine. I want to tackle this real quick here. So I think this is our producer, Crypto King. He gets us all the big interviews. He got us G. Edward Griffin, the creature from Jekyll Island. He got us Congresswoman Cynthia McKinney. We've got some big YouTubers that have come onto our channel too. And other than whatever showed up on, or the people, the influencers that have showed up on Nerd Girl stream, Crypto King has been the one to get these people for us. And he asked, do you plan on interviewing some of the haters like Tone Vase, Box Mining, maybe just for info purposes, not so much to make it on the film?
Here's the deal. Superman is only as strong as the villain that you put in opposition in the movie, right?
True.
Right. So like the same is true of Spider-Man or Wonder Woman or like, so yes, we need to engage and be received by haters with as much access as we are the community of Hexicans. So I would say that, yes, not only will we be doing it for story finding, but we will need a representation and a voice that is, you know, the opposition to the very nature of what Hex is, the community, and Richard. So yes, you will see a fair amount of hate represented in the movie because, you know, a great story is born of tremendous conflict, right? Like that's where story lives, is in that intersection, and we all get most excited when the character of your story is able to overcome, the question becomes, will they or won't they, right? That's the seed of great story, is the will they, won't they. And the journey in the movie is that that experience, and then it satisfies and answers his questions on the back end. So
we deserve a better class of villain than the ones that he used as an example here. So we need some stronger villains than that if we're gonna make Richard Hart stand.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's right.
All.
We need the biggest, baddest, loudest, strongest for sure.
Who was the biggest villain against Hex?
I think
Maybe
ultimately
McCormick?
it could be the United States Federal Reserve, as far as I'm concerned. So,
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
So as far as I'm concerned, hey, Peter, because I don't want to lose. I'll lose my chat at the top that I'm working down right now. Can you put up D'Artagnan's super chat for us, man? He's
it's for me.
It's for
it's for
Peter.
Peter.
$20 for Peter.
Here you go.
Thank you very
that's
much
awesome.
for my bad English. Okay.
For your
He
green
doesn't
screen.
even have a globe to spin, D'Artagnan. Come on.
Tim, you had a question. We kind of.
We have one more.
No, I asked it already.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I asked about the location.
Oh, I'm sorry. I phased. I'm old.
The timeline for
You're
the
right.
doc sounds correct, but have you guys thought of self-distribution so the doc can actually do its job? Well, I don't know anything about that. I'm going to lean on the professionals in the industry to tell us what's best as far as distribution is concerned. So,
Yeah, and I think that ultimately everybody is most excited about this, seeing the most number of people to see it, right? The widest audience possible.
I think the bigger the
audience,
is the more important thing.
Yeah, and and right now the largest number of eyeballs are in the largest ponds, right? And these OTTs already have the ponds, right? And so that's why that you would want to naturally play in that space to begin with. But for sure, there's all kinds of ways of being able then to leverage additional distribution or to seek alternate ways of distributing this. So I think that all of that will be explored, but it's fair to say that if you had the power and the weight and support of these large distributors, you'd have the largest impact in the most accelerated timeline, even if that meant that you had to wait 30 days to release it to the world. When it was released, it would be done in a much larger, more impactful way. So
cool. That's great. What is the deadline to make it to the credits for the movie? Do you mind if I tackle this for just a second? So the top 3 spots to make it to the premiere were intended to be just a week-long fundraising goal. You can continue for the credits through the in perpetuity until the release of the film. So if you continue to donate going forward, you will still make, this is my understanding after talking with Patrick, that you can still make the credit roll. So if your stakes don't end till December and we've cut off who's going to make the top 3 spots, you can still donate to the efforts. It's
So
just
the sacrifice lobby still open then?
Sacrifice lobby is still open. It will be until we are ready to button up the film and move it to distribution. So once the production is 100% completed and been refined, then it's too late to get on the credits. But we've got months before that happens, guys. Months before that happens. So this is an ongoing thing until we make it to. And like I said, the more we get, the more we can use towards distribution. So I even have some people who have some connections to some of the big production houses like Sony that are offering to try to get this in front of them as well too. So, and I've already started to kind of, I want to vet some of these things before I just throw them on the production crew and say, hey, here's something to do it. Just here's some more work for you guys to do. So, but I do know some people that are in Hex, that are Hexicans, that have a lot to do with both the in the film industry in Georgia as well as Quebec, so, and British Columbia. So Dewhawk says here, I normally spend money advertising Hex on the 1st of every month. I plan to send some this week. Good work, guys. Thanks for this. Heck yeah. So appreciate it. Dewhawk's I'm not even gonna read that one. Will Richard, this is a great question. Will Richard allow you to interview his dad and those who were early influences on him, his core values and worldview while he was growing up at all, or is he declined due to privacy concerns?
So when we had our discovery interview with him, and we were with him in Estonia, we interviewed him for a couple hours, and as you can imagine, of course, we explored all of these ideas, thoughts, and questions. And we asked him a couple questions that I feel like he hadn't either considered himself or others had not asked of him. There were one or two questions in particular that his answer was, I don't know, you should ask my dad. Like you need to that way. And he seemed as equally fascinated by the idea that he didn't know how his father would answer that question as we were in asking it. Right. I mean, there's a whole, we're human and we don't, there are a whole host of curiosities that we have about the people that are closest to us in our lives. You could ask my wife a whole number of questions that I wouldn't know the answer to. And I'd be very curious to know how she felt about that line of thought or curiosity. Right. So, and he invited us to have conversation. He's not saying on behalf of his father that, I'll make my father do it, but he definitely extended the invitation to say, go talk to those people who, are closest to me or have those kinds of experiences and influences. And he would be curious to know what they thought about some of these ideas.
Yes. I think that is awesome. Paul, someone put this up. I do. I take notes while I actually send myself notes on my own Telegram while we're discussing things we can do better here on the DS stream. So that's funny that you noticed that. That's kind of funny. Anyway, it does say we accepting SHIB. No, we are not accepting SHIB. Someone wanted to promote their crap SHIB coin by sending it to this donation address. That's the first thing we should do. Let's market dump that grant on the donation address. Let's just throw it into Uniswap and just market dump it for everything it's worth. So we'll move it into Hex, or I think that's better. Buy Hex with SHIB, with any of that and the DAI, or you can spend the DAI. That's fine as well. But that's essentially the same thing as the USDC. So, is there a minimum amount for the credits? KNTX spin the globe. All right, here we go.
The minimum is $19.99.
Prove that it is not a fake globe. It does work. And no, there is not a minimum amount. In fact, you will still make it to the film credit rolls as long as you fill out the survey. If you donate anything at all to the efforts, guys. So, I can't even keep up with all of these. We got such great answers that I feel like this could be a 4-hour long Richard Heart stream trying to go through all the questions in the chat right now. So, by the way, I did want to put this up here since we were showing NFL on the screen. The Baltimore Ravens Justice Hill is a Hexican. He made that very clear on Twitter yesterday. So maybe he wants to shill Hex on the dock too. Something to think about. So
with the story finding,
there you go. Yes, KNTX with the merch from Hexander, my #1 merch troll. Always giving me a hard time about the canoe that sunk all the merchandise out in the Pacific Ocean. So,
how about the Limp Bizkit crew being Hexicans?
Fred Durst and DJ Lethal are Hexicans, and they proved it. DJ Lethal was going around his whole studio showing all of his production equipment, and he was showing his platinum record for Limp Bizkit, and it's for his awards as well. So I think that was a Grammy. And we've got some pretty big Hexicans too. So there's a lot of guys that I'm not allowed to say anything, but I've heard come out privately and say, we're Hexicans too. So we're rooting for you guys. I can't even keep up. You guys see another one in there real quick? Because I want to give this an opportunity for the Hexicans to be able to. I guess I'll let my crew answer this one real quick. Do you guys think Hex will hit $2 by the end of the year?
What year?
This year. Well, that was really weak answer. Okay, never mind.
Always yes.
Maybe just below $1 is my guess.
I think we can. I think Mr. Hexologist at $2.01 is.
I don't want to say no because I don't want to sound like a party pooper, but I really think the launch of Pulse is going to have a lot to do with that.
Yeah, well, I didn't think we'd be. I thought 10 cents maybe we might be at the end of this year. And where are we at now?
40.
Yeah, 42 point.
That was that wasn't a question that needed answered. It was rhetorical.
Sorry.
But that's all right, no problem. So I do recommend those who do have some USDC just laying around in their wallet. If you guys want to be the responsible ones to sell Hex with limit orders to get the USDC, absolutely. That's going to be spent first for the production. So by all means, guys, USDC is great. We love USDC. I'm actually encouraging them at this point in time, if they receive ETH, to sell it for USDC, because we all know how volatile ETH can be. And if Bitcoin continues to dump, well, and there's been some China FUD with the second largest ETH mining pool going down in China, that there was a price hit with ETH as well. So it's smart for us, I think, to take that ETH and put it into USDC and to protect that purchasing price as much as possible at this point in time. So,
how much was raised already? Did you say 400,000?
Yeah, I will pull it up. Actually, I've got it right here. I can't show you this other screen I got going on here, guys. I can't show you that one. So
secret screen. Okay.
Y'all boring the film guy. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. It's all right. We're trying to entertain you guys too. So let me see here. Let's put this up here so everyone can see it. Everything is taking a while today. Got too many windows up. I got a lot of projects we got open trying to work on here. So looks like at this point in time,
Okay.
At this point in time, we're at 387,000, not including the $3,000 worth of ether. So we're about $390,000 raised right now, guys. So
nice.
Yep.
How are we dealing with the FUD that this funding operation is centralized around 2 or 3 major wallet contributors?
I hadn't heard that from anyone except you at this point in time. So why don't you go ahead and bring that up and let's discuss this.
No, let's not.
It's just, you just made that up. Come on.
I just saw the leaderboard. Who was it? Scotty does know, and everybody above are like dropping.
There's some pretty big donations that
there.
aren't those 3. There's some pretty big ones that aren't those 3.
I have a question for Grant. What would you consider would be a film that has personally inspired you to be a filmmaker in the first place? Like, what movie did you see, like as a kid or growing up, that has had the greatest impact on you to want to be a filmmaker?
Good question, Timmy.
Dead Poet Society is the one that rings most true for me.
Really?
Yeah. And the reason being that I feel like it speaks to the idea of being unapologetic in a connection to art and voice in the face of institutionalized or cultural expectation. That's what, sets in opposition to that. And so I think that it also speaks to the idea of needing to inspire others to consider and connect with the passion of their world, regardless of, what the cultural expectation that stands in the way of that. So yeah, I mean, for me, it spoke in saying like, we inherently have the permission from within to pursue this kind of voice, and then we also have the ability then to inspire others to make that connection for themselves as well. So yeah, that's what probably rings most true for me.
Wow, because that goes along with Richard and what we're doing here. So
unapologetic. We don't care what the rest of the space thinks about this.
Yeah.
We're not trying to buy influence within the space like so many other projects do. We're not trying to promise work done by others, and or at least on the coin side. Obviously, the documentary, it's a little different situation here. But at this point in time, this documentary can be made with or without any more contribution at this point in time. We just want you guys to help make this a reality. And I agree with Hex Toshi here. If every Hexagon dropped only 1,000 each, we could raise $64 million. Let's do our part, peeps. Yeah. I'm as grateful as I am for the Hexagons that have donated at this point in time. I am really kind of disappointed in our community. I expected a bigger turnout in the way of making something this big happen. I mean, let's be honest, guys. Richard doesn't just let anybody film him buying a Ferrari, driving it off the lot, and among some of the other scenes that were taken out of the sizzle reel. So And you guys saw the quality of the production. So I'd like to see everybody kind of step up and see what they're doing here. And we've got time. So if you're staked, don't feel. There was one person last time I said that I had mentioned that you to be a good Hexican, to do your civic duty, you need to help participate in the fundraising of this film. And someone got really mad. Well, we're 100% staked. Really, dude? And it's like, dude, it's just the first week to make it into that first top 3 leaderboard. There will be plenty of opportunities over the next months, number of months, at least the next 6, that you'll be able to participate. So don't worry about that. We are not advocates of people emergency and staking and moving forward and dumping their whole bag. So
can we give in tranches as long as it's from the same designated address to work our way up the leaderboard?
Yeah, I would fill out that survey multiple times. So I figured that was going to happen, that you guys were going to, as a monthly stake or a quarterly stake came up, that you guys would be able to give again over and over again. Well, then I'd fill out that survey every time so they can tally up your amount with the previous amount given. Mm-hmm. Yeah, if everyone just contributes 1,000 each, it will not take us long to make a huge sizable contribution to this. So everybody is waiting for the price to go up to donate. Well, if you donate now, and then the price goes up, that just helps the documentary production as far as the value that they're going to be able to use for production. So I think it's a win-win either way, guys. I think it's a win-win either way.
Can we have a 90 or 9-month TWAP in place so we can get credit up the scale?
You know what? I will work with these guys and we'll see what we can do for the premiere about, after the first 3 spots are shut down, maybe we can open up another spot for the overall donor that's not of those 3 that in the top 3 for that first week of giving. And maybe we can make another spot for that. One way or another, DS is going to make it worth your guys' while. We'll do something for you guys. I don't know what yet, but we'll do something for you guys just to show our appreciation. So Lights Out did say that I'll be donating more as money unlocks. I get it. Totally understand that. So any specific needs that you guys have from the film crew right now? I know we're kind of getting to the end here. We're going to wrap up, but any specific needs you guys would like to address, anything that you would like as a call to action to the community to help make this a reality? Telemundo. Sorry, we have Telemundo playing in Wales' background. That's what he does. So that's a contribution he makes to these streams. That and the profound political statements. But go ahead, Grant.
I mean, I think that, our extreme gratitude for the way that you've embraced us, the way that you've encouraged us to see and get to know this community and this story. And I would ask that you continue to do that as a community, that there are these connections that the community is making with regard to, the idea of celebrity Hexicans as an example, that maybe there's a story there. But there are going to be so many additional connections, threads, and ideas that you have as a community. And we welcome you submitting those for our consideration in the story finding that we're engaged in currently. And so, please continue to make us aware of the opportunities that exist within the community, and as well as, as we arrived at today, this idea that we really need conflict, which means that we're really going to need to identify someone, that is a real hater that would want to be a part of this story and invite us in with that same additional level of transparency. So, as we move forward, and you think of these things, feel free to submit them to us as we consider this. So we appreciate you all so very much. And, we're new to it and learning voraciously all of this. And it's helpful when we can have, some of these identifications made on our behalf that invite us into the right areas more quickly. We would, find many of them on our own, but it would just take so much longer and be so much more inefficient. So
Call to action, guys. Put together a list of supervillains. We need good supervillains. I accidentally put this up, but I'm not trying to hide it at all, Will. Will's the one that was worried that I was calling him not a true Hexakin last Friday because he was all staked. Solved that one for you already. We've got months and months and months of left to donate for this. He was the one specifically on Friday that was worried that I was calling him a non-true Hexakin because he was all staked out. So already been addressed, my friend. You're good to go whenever you get the opportunity. That is fine. You just won't have the possibility to hit the top 3 for the leaderboard for the premiere. And I do want to make this very clear as far as getting paid as part of the documentary. That Ethereum address for the donation address, I have made it clear to Patrick that we do not want anything of that. We want 100% of that used for A-list stars and distribution. If there's other production needs that Grant and Patrick see fit for, I want those funds to be spent on that. I do not want it to enrich the DS community at all here. So that address, that donation address, you guys can be sure that that is going to be used for production and for distribution and not to line Discourse Syndicate's pockets. Just want to make that very clear.
KNTX.
Yes.
Villain number 1, CoinMarketCap.
What's that now?
CoinMarketCap as villain number 1.
CoinMarketCap as the villain? I think that's great. There happens to be a lawsuit. Makes for a little bit of a juicy story there. Well, with that, guys, I appreciate everyone joining me, including you, Grant. If you could hold on 1 minute when we get done here, that'd be great before you leave. But I just want to thank you all for joining us today. Remember, thehighestofstakes.com, thehighestofstakes.com. And Briz, if you want a t-shirt, go check us out on hexagons.net. Thanks, guys, for being here. Outro.